Everyone, Notre Dame finally got their first win of the season, and Marcus Freeman got his first win as the head coach of Notre Dame. Another terrible game by Notre Dame. Look, it was a rough start to the beginning. Their defense really carried them at the end. This was a game that they should have handily won. They were 14-point favorites at home playing Cal. Yeah, Cal's 2-0, but come on, it's Cal. You lost your ranking. You're trying to prove that you're this solid team, that you're this quality team. It wasn't a good game for them. It just wasn't. If you watch the game, it was not a good game. It was very sloppy. They did go with Fine rather than Buckner, which I think was a great decision. He just isn't the guy to get the job done. His decision making's terrible. He's been terrible the first 2 weeks. Fine, he wasn't great, but he wasn't bad. He was 17 for 24, 150 yards. So 8 yards per average, basically just under 9. Threw for 2 touchdowns. So nothing spectacular. But he was solid. He wasn't anything crazy. But again, this was a game that you're trying to get back into being ranked. You're trying to turn the season around. And yeah, a win's a win. Take it. But you went from being, one of the top-ranked teams in the country to falling out of the rankings, and you are playing a team like Cal, who, look, they're solid, but Notre Dame was number 8 in the country. And you just had a dismal start to your season. Embarrassing. You have a chance to kind of rectify this, change the quarterback as you should have, and here was your opportunity to come out and really just display hey, it was just a bad start. And the first half was just atrocious for them. It was terrible for Notre Dame. This is another game that they easily could have lost. And that shouldn't even have been a conversation with this team. And look, I don't want to be too hard on them, but it's just they're just disappointing. They're just not very good. And Freeman doesn't seem to have the structure, to have the play. He has the talent. It just seems like he's not able to pull out of it. Maybe it's because his lack of experience. He finally is just taking over this program. Maybe it'll take some time to get in the swing of things. But again, I keep going back to it. They're going to lose more games. Notre Dame is going to lose more games. They're not gonna run the board like many people had hoped or many people thought maybe they still could. No, this team isn't very good at all. They got the job done against Cal, but again, this was a game that they easily could have lost. Easily. Everything from start to finish, time of possession was very similar. Yards were similar. Passing yards, Cal had more passing yards. Rushing yards weren't that far off in comparison. First downs, Cal had more of those. Turnovers, Notre Dame had one to Cal's none, so that they weren't forcing turnovers. Penalties, Notre Dame had more penalties. Sacks, everything, total yards or total plays, Cal had more of those. If you didn't see the score and you just looked at the stats for this game, you would have thought Cal State won this game. They just couldn't get the job done towards the end, which they shouldn't even have been in that conversation. This shouldn't even have been a thing. Notre Dame should have came in and just ran these dudes over. They have the talent, they have the quarterback play, quote unquote. They have the coaching, they have the prestige, they have everything. You have the home field advantage, all of that. If they would have played Cal, they were 13.5-point favorites after the terrible start to the first 2 games. And then they're still a 14-point favorite. If they won those 2 games, they would have been a 24-point favorite against Cal. It's just they're factoring in Notre Dame isn't that good, and they still didn't cover. And I'm not saying every team that you have to cover or worry about the sports books, but this was a game that they should have came in and they should have dominated. They should have won. Look, if they won by 7, because at the end the team got a backdoor touchdown just to close out the game. Okay, fine, but no, Notre Dame was losing this game pretty much the entirety. They were getting pushed around pretty heavily at one point. And look, a win is a win. I will never not take a win. And I'm not a Notre Dame fan by any means. I just see this team and I was like, this all the talk, all the conversations, where should Notre Dame be ranked? Number 8, it's too low. Like, they should be higher. They should at least be a 6 seed. They're so good. They got the coach. They got the quarterback. Tyler's going to come out and he's going to be great and blah, blah, blah. And then this team was terrible. And then, that's 3 games in a row you were terrible. 3 games in a row you were not anywhere ranked. And you're trying to get back to being ranked. You're trying to get back into the conversation. You're trying to earn a bowl game. This team is going to lose a lot of games this season. Unless they just magically turn it around. They should have easily started this season 3-0. 0-3. Seriously, they should have. This is not a good look. And they don't have a super easy schedule. And I could see them losing at the bare minimum. I think they lose at least 2 more games. At least 2 more games, if not more. I wouldn't be shocked if they lose 3 or 4 more games. But I don't know. It's just disappointing. It's just the team's just not very good, and it's not like they had a super tough schedule. Like, I think they lose to North Carolina next week. They play North Carolina next week. I think North Carolina runs through Notre Dame. I do. I think they start 1-3. I think they easily could have started 0-4. That's my opinion. I really do. I think their season's over. I think now it's just trying to find some positives, trying to kind of build your culture, build your foundation, sort of lead this team. I don't know. I mean, if they end up losing, they end up going like 1-7 or 1-6 or something crazy like that, or 2-6, something along those lines. I wouldn't be shocked if they fire the coach. Like, I wouldn't be shocked if Freeman is gone. Because he doesn't seem to have much demand at all. He doesn't seem to have these guys ready. And it doesn't seem like he had them ready from week 1. Let alone now we're getting into week 4. And it's just, I think that they get smacked by North Carolina. I think once they get smacked by North Carolina, I think you're going to see a huge shift in narration. I think you're going to have a huge shift in conversation. Is Freeman the right guy for the job, and blah, 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 blah. And I think ultimately, if he loses, come week 6 or 7, they lose to BYU, because I believe they play BYU week 6, if I'm not mistaken. They lose that, they could be 1-4, 1-5. Like, I think that the conversation is, hey, it's time to move off of. It's time to go a different direction. Because that's not what the standard, that's not what they thought they were going to be. That's not what the narrative and conversation was, that this team would be this, this great team. People literally thought like they should be at least top 6, ranked easily. And look, they 2 weeks in and they're already out of the rankings entirely. A number 6 or number 8 seed is completely out of the rankings and just barely squeaked out a win against Cal. Barely. Like, I don't know. That's just me. But anyway, as always, this is a conversation. I'd love to hear from you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comment section below. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? How did you feel about this game? Are you excited for the win? And look, a win is a win. I'm not trying to take a win away from Notre Dame. This was an opportunity to be great, and they weren't. But love to hear your thoughts and opinions. That being said, hit that like button. Helps me out a lot. Lets me know you enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. If you're not subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button, followed by the bell notification. Stay up to date with all things sports. Join this wonderful community and all of our discussions. I'll see you all in the next one. Thank you.